I, 23-year-old female, have an Irish twin, 24-year-old female. We've been living together for 2 years. She is a single mum of a toddler. When we first moved in together, the apartment was only in her name and she let me live with her. I was finishing dental assisting school and couldn't qualify for an apartment on my own. I still paid half the rent and utilities. After graduating and getting a job, I became an official added roommate to the lease last year. I make a lot of money for my age, so when my sister was struggling to pay her half of the rent when her job cut her hours significantly, it was a no-brainer to start paying more. I could easily afford all the rent, so covering another 25% is nothing. Plus, I love her and my niece. My sister has no help whatsoever from the father, so I help her as much as I can. He works under the table, so he doesn't get his wages garnished for child support. I have watched her struggle to afford daycare and food for her baby, so I also help her with that. 2 days ago, my sister sits me down and tells me she has news. She's pregnant. My jaw dropped. I ask who the dad is, and she starts crying. I didn't expect her to say it's her deadbeat baby daddy. I was shocked, and she continued with her explanation. She saw a girl commenting under his posts, and she went on her page and saw they had taken pictures at the same place at the same time. The girl also posted about him for his birthday weeks later, saying, "Happy birthday to my fiancé." She messaged her letting her know he's a deadbeat and got blocked. Then her baby daddy called her saying she's a crazy witch, and that led to them getting a hotel room and they slept with each other. All to prove some point to his fiancée that he's not loyal, and she can have him whenever she wants, because she sent her proof after they slept together, but the fiancé stayed with him. As she's telling me this story, I just sit there upset. I started asking her if she went to the doctor and how far along she is. She said she did stop by Planned Parenthood and got a scan. She's 9 weeks. We live in a blue state, so baby unaliving is legal here. I told my sister that I wasn't going to be resigning the lease unless she got a baby unaliving. She looked at me with so much disgust and started crying harder. She called me an evil witch and said I'm a horrible person for making her choose between her baby or having housing. I told her that with her reduced hours now, she can't afford even half the rent, let alone the daycare she splits between me, our dad and aunt, so she needs to understand the position she's putting me in since the responsibility is falling on me. She told our family, and they're pissed, saying I'm being heartless to even ask her that, and that I shouldn't punish her. They're suggesting that I should at least sign for another 6 months so she can get her shoot together since 5 weeks isn't a lot of time. I said no. She's ungrateful for all the help I've done, so I'm out. They're saying I'm a jerk since when I didn't qualify, she let me live with her, even though I paid half. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Well, this is messy. My first thought is that a lot of people have to choose between housing and having a baby. Most of us do it before pregnancy, but that doesn't matter here. What really bothers me is that your sister is not emotionally stable enough to raise children by herself. She had unprotected intimacy with a man to prove a point, and he happens to be the same man who refuses to support a child he already has. You may have been a bit harsh, but so is reality. I'm going to suggest that you point her to counselling ASAP and then to court to get court-order child support. If he works under the table, they can still order him to pay. And ask her plainly, how does she plan to support 2 children? As any parent will tell you, they get more expensive later on. You've been a good sister. You didn't have the right to issue an ultimatum, but you do have the right to decide where and how you live. You're well within your rights to say, I do not want to live in a house with another baby, and I cannot spend more on you than I am already. I have a feeling that with all this going on in your life, you aren't saving as much as you should, and that will make you less secure later on. Don't compromise on that. You're the only one who can do it. The way you handled this was flawed, but you're not the one bringing a child into the world that you cannot afford to feed. The cause of this mess is your sister, not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You had the right intentions, although you expressed them in a way that wasn't apartment. I mean, you played the biggest card you were holding in your hand. When we do something for our loved ones, we shouldn't hold that as a way to control them or their decisions. I can understand where you are coming from. She definitely shouldn't have this baby, rationally speaking, but it's not for us or for you to decide. I can understand that the responsibility will fall over you eventually. So you could have told her that she should reconsider and that you wouldn't be able to support that second baby. But using the lease card was like using a bazooka for ending the life of a spider. So you might have been wrong there. You should play it positively going forward. Like encourage and even somewhat push your sister to get a job, make a life for herself. She can't be dependent on you and others for all her life. She needs to sort out her life by herself. You guys are there for her to count on and to support her, but she shouldn't take it granted. Comment 3. I shouldn't punish her and I should sign at least 6 months. Not the idiot. I hate when family tries to spend other family members' money. Tell your family that they can co-sign for your sister and pitch in on the rent since they're so adamant about it. You aren't forcing your sister to get a baby unaliving. You just aren't going to live with her if she has another kid. The kids are not your responsibility and you should not have to take care of them. Deadbeat dad's future wife should know that if he cannot afford child support, they will get it out of her wages. When they get married, the courts take into consideration the household income, so she will be on the hook for both kids if in the US. Now for the update. Fast forward a few months. I've moved into my own place, which is a big change but a welcome one. I have a newfound sense of freedom and independence, but I've also had a lot of time to think about my sister and niece. One evening my phone buzzed. It was my sister. She was in labour. The father was nowhere to be found, of course, and I was the only family nearby, so I swallowed my pride and rushed to the hospital. It was a long, exhausting night, but eventually my sister gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. The second I held him in my arms, everything else seemed to fade away. It wasn't about the money or the poor decisions or the animosity. It was about family. Post-birth, my sister and I had a long, heartfelt talk. She apologised for her actions and the strain it put on our relationship, but most importantly, she thanked me for being there that night and for all the help I've provided over the years. I told her I didn't agree with her choices, but I understood that she was doing what she thought was best. In the spirit of fresh starts, I've decided to help out, but in a different capacity. Instead of monetary support, I've been assisting in childcare, helping my sister find a stable job, and steering her towards resources for single mothers. It's a lot of work, but it feels like the right thing to do. Last week, my sister found a job and got accepted into a program providing affordable housing for single mothers. It's a small step, but it's progress. Our family is slowly warming up to the idea that I'm not the villain they made me out to be. It's been a rough journey, and there's still a long road ahead, but in the end, we're still family, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Edit. Thanks for the gold, kind stranger. TLDR. My sister had the baby, we made amends, and I've been helping her get back on her feet. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's commendable that you're taking on the role of support for your sister and niece in a time of need, despite past differences. There's a lot to be said for that kind of maturity. Family dynamics can be tricky, and it's not always easy to reconcile past grievances, but it's clear that you're making a genuine effort here. Furthermore, you're not just offering assistance, you're providing tangible, practical help in terms of childcare, job hunting and housing. It's not just about repairing your relationship, but also about helping your sister build a stable life for herself and her child. Your family is lucky to have someone like you who is willing to step up when it counts. Comment 2. Not the idiot. It's a true testament to your character that you're willing to make sacrifices for the sake of your sister and her child. It's evident that you value your family bond and are willing to do whatever it takes to maintain and strengthen it. Your actions also demonstrate a selfless consideration for others, which is a rare and admirable trait. People often fail to look past their personal feelings or grudges, but you've shown that you can rise above this for the well-being of others. Your sister is undoubtedly going through a tough time, and your support is undoubtedly making a significant positive impact on her life. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Your actions speak volumes about the kind of person you are. In a difficult situation, you've chosen to step up and be a pillar of support. You've not only provided emotional support by rushing to the hospital and having a heartfelt conversation, but you've also committed to long-term, meaningful assistance. You're helping to shape a better future for your sister and niece, and that's an incredibly altruistic thing to do. The fact that you're doing this despite perhaps not having the best relationship with your family before shows your commitment to making things better. It's not about who was right or wrong in the past, but about doing what's best for your family right now. Now for the next story. This is driving me insane, and I'm wondering if I'm overreacting, so I'm posting here, also on phone. I've had a terrible day, and I got a call that my husband was going to grab takeout and asked what I wanted. I wanted a fried chicken sandwich. When he got home, he got me the grilled version. I asked him why, and he told me he was looking after me and my weight. I admit I lost it and pointed out that he is much fatter than I am, and that he is the one with a gut. I took the fried sandwich and took a bite. This resulted in a huge argument, and he called me a jerk and left. Update. He found the post. We are going to have a long talk. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I wanted a fried chicken sandwich. When he got home, he got me the grilled version. I asked him why, and he told me he was looking after me and my weight. Oh boy. I took the fried sandwich and took a bite. This resulted in a huge, and he called me a jerk and left. He shouldn't project. He can't handle it. Comment 2. Not the idiot. He basically called you fat and took it upon himself to make a good choice for you based on that belief that you did not ask for. Then he gets mad when you point out that he's fatter than you and take the sandwich you wanted in the first place instead of the one he bought you. Comment 3. Not the idiot. He didn't get you what you asked for. And anyone that is larger than someone has no business saying they're looking after the other's weight. Sounds like he expects you to take him as he is, but wants you to stay thinner and to him more attractive for him. Easy and clear, not the idiot. Now for the update. Over the past month, things have been really challenging. Tensions between us didn't ease up after our argument. We tried to have that serious conversation, only for it to turn into another blame game. Despite some promising moments of reconciliation, we were stuck in a vicious cycle of anger and resentment, neither of us willing to back down. In the midst of all this, my husband's health took a turn. He ended up at the doctor's office after experiencing severe chest pains, and it turned out he had high blood pressure. The doctor attributed it to stress and his weight. The irony wasn't lost on either of us, considering our argument around health started this whole mess. My husband started medication, and we both decided to make a lifestyle change. We even joined a gym together, hoping it would be a bonding experience for us. But the strain between us overshadowed any positive changes we were trying to make. One night we got into a particularly nasty argument after the gym. I don't even remember what sparked it. We were both so exhausted, both physically and emotionally. My husband decided to sleep on the couch that night, claiming he needed some space. When I woke up, I found him unconscious on the living room floor. He had a stroke. His weight and stress had finally taken their toll. The paramedic said he would have been fine if he'd received medical attention sooner, but he was alone because of our silly fight. He's in the hospital now. Stable but not responsive. The doctors say it'll be a long road to recovery. They keep reminding me how important it is for him to have a strong support system, but I can't help but feel responsible. Every day I look at him lying there, and I can't help but think of that stupid grilled chicken sandwich. I wish I could take it all back. I wish I could rewind time, erase our fights and replace them with laughter, love and understanding. But all I can do now is hope for the best, put aside my guilt, and try to be the support he needs. It's heartbreaking to see him this way, and it's a pain I wouldn't wish on anyone. All over a chicken sandwich. Our lives have taken a turn I never imagined. I wish I could say it's been an entirely negative experience, but that wouldn't be entirely true. In the midst of all this pain and struggle, I've come to realise how much I still love my husband and how far I'm willing to go to see him healthy and well again. I just hope it's not too late to show him. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Intense situations and high-stress environments can take a toll on anyone's health, and it's extremely unfortunate that it has led to such a drastic health issue for your husband. That being said, it's not right for you to bear the entirety of the blame. The both of you as a couple decided to continue in an environment of constant arguments and unresolved tension. It's not solely your doing. It's crucial now that you focus on supporting his recovery and making the necessary changes in your relationship and lifestyle. It's a difficult situation, but it's not too late to turn things around. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. Both you and your husband have contributed to the stressful environment that led to his deteriorating health. While his condition is unfortunate, it's important to recognise that both of you had the option to seek help or make changes sooner. It's regrettable that it took such a severe incident for the severity of the situation to be realised. Now, it's crucial for both of you to take responsibility and make the necessary changes not only in your relationship, but in your lifestyle choices as well. Comment 3. No idiots here. It's easy to blame yourself in hindsight, but it's also important to remember that both of you were dealing with your own struggles and difficulties. The constant arguments and unresolved tensions are unfortunately part of many relationships, and it's not always easy to foresee the potential health impacts. Instead of dwelling on past mistakes, focus on the present and future. Be there for your husband, support his recovery and work on improving your relationship. It's never too late to show your love and commitment. Now, for the next story. I, 25-year-old female, have a group of friends all aged 24, 26, 8 in total. That includes a guy whom I'll call Nick. Nick has a girlfriend whom I'll call Josie, 24, and they've been dating for 8 or 9 months. Nick introduced Josie to the group about 6 months ago. Both Josie and I are mixed race, while the rest of the group is white. Ever since we met Josie, she's made really inappropriate comments too about me concerning racially related things. She asks me why all my friends are white. Questions about my mother's African background and comments about how I style my hair, like suggesting I shouldn't straighten it. I always try to change the topic and brush it off, but she brings it up so often. Nick says she's just trying to find her place in the friend group, but I don't understand why she can't make an effort to get to know me or anyone in the group as a person instead of focusing on this irrelevant commonality. I also pointed out to Nick that Josie and I may both be half African, but we come from different countries in Africa with vastly different cultures. Even if I was raised in an African culture, which I wasn't, it still wouldn't be similar to hers. So it really doesn't make sense for her to keep bringing it up. And not to mention, it makes me uncomfortable. Anyway, over the weekend we all had a boat day and were having lunch. We were talking about school, and I mentioned that one of the schools I attended had predominantly Asian students. Josie asked if there were any black students in my year, and I said yes, but I didn't know them very well. She then asked if the reason I wasn't friends with them was because they thought I wasn't black enough. I don't know if it was that comment or the countless ones before it, but I just felt so angry that she would once again take a conversation that everyone was participating in and make it about race for no reason. I said, "No, Josie, that's not why we weren't friends. Frankly, the only person I've ever met who's obsessed with my racial identity is you. And just so you know, it's really creepy." Josie tried to stutter an apology, but I told her that the only apology I was interested in was her not bringing it up again. My boyfriend jumped in and changed the topic. Later, Nick took me aside and said I'd really upset Josie, and she was just trying to bond with me. He said she has some kind of race-related trauma, without going into detail, and that my comment had made her really uncomfortable. I told him that it wasn't my problem, and I'm not going to be Josie's emotional support coloured friend. I also expressed my concern about how he views me, if he thinks I should fulfil that role. Now, Nick is mad at me for insinuating that he's discriminatory, and two friends have taken his side. I don't think I was wrong for wanting Josie to respect me like everyone else, but apparently people think what I said was harsh. Was it? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Just because Nick likes having relations with someone of mixed race who is obsessed with her own racial makeup and experience, and you happen to be of similar but nowhere near the same makeup, does not make her socialization into the friend group your problem. She's his girlfriend, and it is his and her responsibility to acclimate to the group or to find a new social situation where they are more comfortable. If he doesn't like the consequences of his trying to foist his obligation to her on you, he can take it up with his reflection. Enough is enough. Guys, I've expressed how I feel about my race becoming a focus of discussion many times before the incident. I was ignored. I have every right to ask that behaviours that make me uncomfortable be stopped, regardless of how traumatised the person responsible is supposed to be. Since my multiple polite requests have been ignored, I am well within my rights to stop being polite and start being blunt. Nick and his girlfriend need to deal with her issues and stop trying to make them mine. I think you all need to take a breath and really think about why any of you are even entertaining the thought that her issues with being mixed are supposed to be my problem to solve. Comment 2. It looks like a common occurrence on this sub that people come with stories how they accumulate resentment to someone then blow up in an ugly way one day. Are you justified to feel uncomfortable because of Josie's comments? Yes. Are you justified to blow up? No, she didn't do anything unusual. She just continued to do what she always did. Bring up topic that is annoying to you. You should have reacted much earlier, but also you should have reacted with the cool head. You're the idiot. Comment 3. Josie is an AH for bringing up non-white business in front of your mostly white friend group. But, based on what you said, it sounds like you could use a friend who has some identity consciousness. I assure you, when some shoot actually hits the fan about your having African heritage, which it inevitably will, you'll have a more likely ally and confidant in Josie. Not your boyfriend and not the rest of y'all's friends. Now for the update. So the story has taken some wild turns since my last post. I thought things would die down after the confrontation, but they've only escalated. Last week I was on the receiving end of an intervention organised by Nick and the two friends who sided with Josie. They ambushed me at our regular hangout spot with the idea of mediating the misunderstanding between Josie and I. It was really an attempt to make me apologise, which I didn't. I held my ground, expressing concerns about the underlying racial bias in Josie's comments and her expectation that I should be her emotional support. Turns out I wasn't the only one who felt like this. Two other friends, who had previously kept out of the fray, stood up for me. They admitted they'd also felt uncomfortable with Josie's comments and Nick's enabling behaviour, but didn't want to rock the boat. This led to a huge argument, where all the pent-up grievances aired out. In the heat of the argument, Josie accused me of trying to turn the group against her. She claimed I was making her a villain because of her race-related trauma. She then, in a fit of anger, made a highly racially insensitive comment, something so egregious even Nick had trouble defending it. The whole thing blew up, and shockingly, it was Nick who ended up breaking things off with Josie. He admitted that he'd been blind to how offensive her comments were and apologised for not taking my concerns seriously. Josie, for her part, stormed out of the hangout and has since cut contact with everyone. Nick and I are talking things out. We're not exactly back to being best buds yet, but he's trying to make amends. He's admitted that he was wrong to dismiss my feelings and says he wants to understand and do better. As for the two friends who stood up for me, we've become a lot closer. It's a bittersweet silver lining to the whole mess, but I'm grateful for their support. It's been a rollercoaster ride these past 2 weeks, and I guess we'll see where things go from here. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You have every right to stand up for yourself in the face of racial bias. It's important to express your feelings when you're uncomfortable, especially when it involves discrimination. Nick and the two friends initially siding with Josie were misguided in trying to mediate the conflict without addressing the root issue, racial bias. It's good to see that they eventually understood their mistake and rectified it. It's a tough situation, but it seems you have handled it with grace and honesty. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but it's unfortunate that it took such an extreme event for Nick to see the truth about Josie. It's a testament to the power of influence and how people can sometimes be blind to the faults of those they care about until faced with undeniable evidence. It's also commendable that the two neutral friends decided to speak up. It's always difficult to get involved in conflict, but it's necessary when it comes to addressing issues of racial bias. The future might be uncertain, but it seems you're on the right path. Comment 3. Not the idiot. It's always tough when friendships fracture, especially over something as serious as racial bias. You did the right thing by standing your ground and not tolerating any form of discrimination. It's unfortunate that Josie chose to cut off contact instead of acknowledging her mistake and apologizing. However, it's a positive sign that you and Nick are working on repairing your friendship. It's important to remember that true friendships can weather storms and come out stronger. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.